Hi, good afternoon. Everybody is able to hear me, I think so. So today I can't chat with, so I think if you have any problem, you can just message in the group and my residents will just tell me if you're not able to see the slide or if you're not able to hear my voice, any other complaints, right? Okay, fine. So I think you have finished your carbohydrate metabolism and carbohydrate classes. And now we will go to the next macromolecule, right? So you know that maximum I can say, like in biochemistry, if you want to take 4 macromolecules, major ones, carbohydrate, lipid, proteins, and nucleic acids, right? So you have finished one. And there are so many other micromolecules like trace minerals, elements, minerals, vitamins. There are so many other things. But you have finished carbohydrate and next we'll come to lipid. We'll see how lipids differ from carbohydrate, or is there any unique features for lipids, right, compared to carbohydrate, right? Okay, so before going to the academic session, one thing is, yes, this is important, really important, because lipid chemistry, you should not feel like this is like chemistry class, right? So stay awake, whatever you can do, lie down, but I think if you lie down, you'll sleep. Yes. So just try to be awake as much as possible, right? Okay, fine. So if you just understand lipids, I think it'll be really like a story. Okay, not only lipids, I can say every molecule is like that, right? Okay. So before going to chemistry of lipids, okay, if I'm going to like chemistry, you will be thinking like why an MBBS graduate should know the chemistry, right? So all the chemistries will be like having some structure, some backbone, some carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, all these things, right? So if you're getting bored, I can tell you, you have many clinical importance related to chemistry of lipids. Means lipids, but if you know the chemistry, then it will be useful for you to understand the whole lipid metabolism. Right now, you will be hearing so many stories, right? Main thing is morbid obesity, right? Not even morbid, normal obesity, metabolic syndrome. Yes, all these things, they have a major role in relation with lipid metabolism. And next thing, I have just put few pictures. I have not added all the clinical importance, but just meant to mention a few. One is obesity, and next is a baby. You would have seen a picture here, a baby having oxygen in its nose, right? I think you got a question last time, exams in first question, and most of you answered wrong. A baby, premature baby. Premature means like born before the normal expected delivery date, right? A baby born prematurely to a mother around, I think 30 or 32 weeks they have given. So it went for respiratory distress and all those acidosis and all those things they are given. And they asked for the probable diagnosis. And most of you have mentioned with hemoglobinemia, thalassemia and all those. See, those things, thalassemia and all, will not be evident at birth. So that was due to some respiratory distress syndrome. Okay, you will be learning about that here. And next is, I mentioned a drug, commonest. I think every one of you will be knowing about this, aspirin, 75 milligram, right? So these are few importance which is relevant with lipid chemistry, right? Okay. So first, before going to that, we'll see what are lipids, right? If I'm asking you what are carbohydrate, right, you will be giving so many definitions. Some people will be telling like it's polyhydroxy alcohols, means so many hydroxy group are there, and it's an alcohol, CH2OH. There are so many CH2OH, right? If I'm taking glucose as an example, it's a hexose. You have so many OH groups, yes, in glucose. So immediately I can say that there are many OH groups, so it is hydroxy groups are there. That is water soluble, right? And if I want to still classify carbohydrate, somebody can tell like physical properties. Yes, most of the carbohydrate are sweet in nature. Example, okay. So some of them, they may say they are soluble in water because they have many hydroxyl groups. Like that, if I want to say lipid, or I want to define lipid, lipid is not a single compound, right? Same way like carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is a group of molecules, right? It can be divided so many ways: homo polysaccharides, homo heteropolysaccharides, hexoses, monosaccharides, so many things were there, right? Same way, lipids, if I'm going to say, it contains a lot of compounds, but the common characteristic for most of all the compounds, I can say that they will be insoluble in water. So one thing is, you can say, why insoluble in water? It may not have lot many OH groups. Yes. So what is it called? Carbohydrate. You are telling like hydrate of carbon. So here I have removed that water. I had dehydrated that. Okay. Some substances I had dehydrated it, reduced it, concentrated it, so that becomes now hydrophobic. Instead of having a lot of hydrophilic groups, it has hydrophobic groups. So most of the lipid compounds are insoluble in water, but they are soluble in organic solvents, right? So you might be knowing it. If I'm talking about oil stain in your shirt, okay, that is a lipid, right? So what will happen? If you just put water over it, it will not be soluble. Yes, because it is insoluble in water. But I have mentioned in definition, it's soluble in organic solvents. When the oil stain will get removed, if you put something like a detergent powder, yes. So when you put that thing, this lipid, which is insoluble in water, will be soluble in this detergent or organic solvents. So it will be easily removed. That's what happening in dry cleaning, washing, and all those things, right? Okay. So what are I have mentioned heterogeneous group of compounds. So what are the compounds which are classified as lipids? One is fats, oils, steroids, waxes, to name a few. Okay, there are so many things, but still now you will be like using the word fat in common term. Yes, if you want to say somebody is obese, you will be telling like he or she is fatty, right? And if somebody is telling like a layman is coming and telling to you like I have a lot of cholesterol, you will be telling like a lot of fat is there in your body. Okay, whatever. So you used to confuse fat and cholesterol together. You used to think like both are similar, fats and cholesterol. Yes, but I'm saying like cholesterol is a lipid but not a fat. We'll see how. These are fat is a separate molecule, oil, steroids, waxes, all those things are separate, but all these molecules comes under lipids, right? So how do you classify lipids? Okay. So if I want to classify, example, if I'm taking your class, yes, a strength of 250 students, if I want to classify you, there are so many ways to classify, right? Either I can classify into boys and girls, or I can classify into A batch, B batch, C batch, D batch according to the alphabetical order, or height wise, or I can say those who are wearing this color shirt, that color shirt, whatever it is. So there are so many classifications I can do. Same way, lipids can be classified according to its function or according to its structure, according to double bond present there or absence, whatever it is. So there are so many classifications, right? So we'll just see few. One is, as I told to you, simple lipids. Okay, what is it? Simple lipid means it's a triglyceride molecule. I'll show you the structure and waxes. And compound is nothing but it is not simple. Something is compounded with its simple lipid. There is a simple lipid to which something was compounded or added, then becomes compound or complex lipid. So I have a triglyceride. If I'm adding a phosphate, okay, phospholipid. If I'm adding a sugar, glycolipid. If I'm adding some amino group molecule, aminolipid. Sulfate, sulfolipid, right? Like that, you are compounding some molecule, okay, to the simple lipid. It forms compound lipid. And precursor or derived lipids are derived from this hydrolysis of the simple lipid or compound lipid. Means if I'm going to cleave this triglyceride, name itself is telling there are something three and then glyceride. So there is a glycerol to which there are three fatty acids. So if I'm going to cleave this, you will get fatty acids, three fatty acids and glycerol. Yes. And steroid is again a precursor or derived lipid. Okay. This is one of the classification. So just remember that simple lipid is triglyceride. See, as I told to you, we can classify according to many other reasons. One is simple lipid, compound lipid, and derived lipid. As I told you, there are so many examples here I have given. Initially, I told triglyceride is a simple lipid. So triglyceride is otherwise called as neutral fat or fat. Okay. So triglycerides are fats. Okay. Cholesterol is not fat. Cholesterol is a separate compound. Okay, so triglyceride is a neutral fat or fat, and then in this triglyceride I will show you that can be, if I'm telling like glycerol and 3 fatty acids, this 3 fatty acids may be symmetrical, means same fatty acid, or different, then it is called a mixed triglyceride or symmetrical triglyceride. Okay, waxes are same triglycerides, and I'll just tell you most of the times we will not talk about wax except for bone wax. And then compound lipids, as I told you, if phosphate this group is there, it is called phospholipids. Here sugar is there, carbohydrate is there, so glycolipids. And derived lipids, there are so many steroids, there are so many steroid hormones, yes, there are so many carotenoids and terpenes. Okay, we'll just see all these things in detail later. So in this thing, if you see, most of the times we'll talk most about phospholipids, yes, and if you come to CNS, most of the neurons will have this glycolipids, right? Yes. And one homework will be for you is you're going to read about what is plasmalogen. Okay, fine. Okay, this is what I told to you, either based on composition we already seen, okay, and based on functions, it can be a storage lipid or it can be a structural lipid, means in cell membranes you might be having this lipid, so it have a structural function, storage function, and there are so many molecules which act as a second messenger. Or I can say in the signaling pathway you have like phosphatidylserine, phosphatidyllinositol, so many things, yes. So all the things will be dolicholinerol you will be reading when you're coming for the transport from Golgi apparatus, right? So all these things I have just given you example. One is based on this composition or based on functions. Still there are so many ways to classify. We'll see into that. Okay, before that, what is the importance of fat? Like carbohydrate, till now we know that it is a form of energy, right? It is a source of energy. And apart from that, you would have seen so many carbohydrate will be present in cell membrane receptors and all those. Same way, what is the major function of lipid? As I told to you, it is concentrated form, means I have an I can say like ghee or butter. How do you derive butter? You have milk, yes, you will dehydrate it, yes, you will boil it, then you will make it as a curd, then buttermilk, then out of that, means you are removing water, yes, and then dehydrating it, then condensing it. Okay, the butter is a condensed form, yes, and then it is reduced form, means there is no more water molecule, right? So I can say like this reduced concentrated condensed molecule can be better, okay, used as a storage form of energy in your body. You can ask why. You have even storage molecule for glucose, right? But again, why you need for even for lipids? Is the glucose not enough? I think if you would have had the chat option, I would have chatted with you, but really sorry. I think you're awake. Yes, and you're listening. Okay. So if I'm going to ask you an organ, okay, which works continuously, that might be requiring your continuous supply of energy, right? So example, glucose is stored in the form of glycogen. Yes, glycogen can be stored in liver and muscle. Okay, so by chance today morning I had my breakfast around 8 o'clock, and after that till now if I'm not having anything, what will happen? 8 o'clock I have my breakfast, 10 o'clock the glucose would have been sort of shooted and then come back to my normal basal level. Maybe after 4 hours of my breakfast, the glucose would have been in the baseline or fasting level. After that, the source of glucose is going to be the glycogen. The liver glycogen will break down and then it will give rise to glucose, and it maintains the homeostasis of glucose in the blood. And muscle glycogen, what is the use when you exercise? Yes, obviously the tiring muscles will be requiring more glucose for energy. So that might be providing energy for your exercising muscles, right? This liver glycogen, how long it will take care for your glucose homeostasis? If today morning 8 o'clock I had breakfast and I'm not having anything till tomorrow morning, by that time 18 hours to 24 hours, the liver glycogen will be depleted, will be used up, right? So after that, still if you're continuing your fasting, if you're starving, the glycogen of a liver will not be able to supply glucose, right? So if an organ by chance it is depending only on glucose for energy, yes, what will happen? When you have breakfast, the glucose rises, the organ will take up the glucose, and then once the glucose is coming down, the organ function also will come down, right? So that is not possible for few organs. I think you would have guessed what is the organ I'm talking about. Okay, which works continuously right from your birth to death. Yes, which one it will be? It is brain. No, brain even now it may not be working for you. Yes, for some people, yes, at even night it may not be working, but heart, you need heart to be continuously working so that yes, we will be alive, right? Okay, so for the heart to be functioning, you need a continuous source of supply, unlike glucose, which has a fluctuation, yes, depending upon the meal. So there you need a higher concentrated form of energy. I'm telling concentrated form, rich source. How come I can prove that? You would have studied in your 12th standard. If I'm going to just burn 1 gram of sugar, how much energy I'll be getting? 4 kilocalories. Protein, same 4, but fat you'll be getting 9, right? It's a double the amount of carbohydrate and protein oxidation. So in this, if you see that if body is storing carbohydrate, the amount of energy released will be half of that of the almost half or even more than is 40% of the fat oxidation. That's what body has chosen triglyceride or fat, simple fat as a storage molecule. And next thing is liver always have a capacity to hold only this much of glycogen. Yes, but your adipocytes where your triglycerides are stored, it doesn't have any of the storage capacity. It can keep enlarging. Okay, it can keep just forming a bigger cell. Okay, I'll show you the structure of adipocytes. Okay, how does it differ from other cell? So it can occupy as much as triglyceride we push it in, and that's what obesity. If you see BMI, body mass index, it can be like anywhere, right? Even it can cross 35, 40, more than that. Yes. Okay. So with this background, we'll just go back to importance of fat. As I told you, it is a concentrated source of energy, and these are essential for absorption of all these fat soluble vitamins. If I'm taking all fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, K, but I don't have fat for absorption, okay, I will be deficient of this vitamin. So all these vitamins, they require fat for its absorption. If somebody have malabsorption syndrome and they have fat deficiency, they will also present with this additional fat soluble vitamin deficiencies, because these fat soluble vitamins require fat for this absorption, right? And there are so many essential fatty acids like linoleic and linolenic. I will tell you there are types of linoleic and linolenic, alpha, gamma, which one is essential. And obviously, you know that if I'm going to give you an option of fresh salads and some butter toast, obviously you'll ask for the butter toast because it improves the palatability of the diet and give satiety value, means you will get filled easily, right? And as I told to you, the fats are going to be stored as triglycerides or neutral fat in adipose tissue, and it acts as an energy source, right? Okay, we'll see the structure of adipocytes. I told you triglycerides are storage form of energy in adipocytes. So adipocytes obviously get deposited around your waist. Okay, it has variable deposition in genders. See this, there are white adipocyte and brown adipocyte. The difference you will be learning it later. White adipocyte have few mitochondria, but brown adipocytes will have a lot of mitochondria. So you can see some of your friends, no, they eat a lot, but they'll never become obese. They'll remain thin. So we'll be asking where all this food are going, right? So they might have a lot of brown adipocytes. So where a lot of mitochondria will be there, and then those mitochondria will be oxidizing the fat. Yes, that's what. Okay, so this white adipocyte, if you see that this purple color is the nucleus. The nucleus has been pushed in the periphery. Yes, and this yellowish orange, this is the lipid droplet. That is nothing but your triglycerides. So as much as triglycerides we are taking, it will just get deposited into the cell and it will push the nucleus and it can enlarge. This is called hyperplasia of the adipocyte. So either adipocyte can increase in size or hypertrophy, that is increase in number. So it can be hyperplasia or hypertrophy. That's what they used to say. After one stage, hypertrophy is irreversible, means the number you can't reduce. But hyperplasia, if somebody want to reduce the weight, yes, this fat has to be reduced. Okay, Okay, so you have seen how the triglycerides get into the cell, and you will see to that later in the metabolism how this triglycerides will be coming out for oxidation and how it will get stored. Okay, fine. We'll see this now. We'll go to the structure of triglycerides, right? We'll go one by one. This is triglycerides. The name itself is telling. So glycerides is glycerol. You can see that CH2OH, CH2OH, CH2OH. This is glycerol, 3-carbon compound. Yes, and plus I'm going to add this R1 is nothing but a fatty acid, CH3, CH2, CH3, CH3, CH2, so many CH2s, and then ending up with the carboxylic acid. This is a fatty acid, 1 fatty acid, 2 and 3. So triglyceride. So just they are linking together, and the water molecule is removed. Ester bond is formed. Okay, there is an ester bond between the glycerol and 3 fatty acid. Then it forms the triglyceride. If there is an ether form, okay, ether link, I told you to read about plasmalogens. You're going to read it. Where plasmalogen will be present is a high energy molecule that has ether links, and where it will be present, you're going to read it. Yes. Okay. So now you have seen the structure of triglycerides, but schematically they can represent in so many ways. So this is the one of the schematic representation, means it's the same. Glycerol, fatty acid has been represented like this, and R1, R2, R3. R1, R2, R3 can be of same, maybe of same this kind of triangle pattern. Okay, that may be symmetrical triglyceride, or it can be mixed, means this is of one type, this is of one type, this is of one type. So R1 is or fatty acid 1, fatty acid 2, fatty acid 3, all three are different. They are linked with glycerol backbone. Yes. Okay, I have taken only this one fatty acid now. Okay, I enlarged. I'm just zooming in, right? Initially we told a big triglyceride, and then we are seeing one by one. Now we are just taking only this fatty acid. Okay, this is like CH2. As I told you, CH3 in the end, CH2, CH2, so many CH2, and then COOH in the end, right? This will be binding with OH of glycerol. Yes, now I think there is no confusion here. Yes, okay. So always see to that you have two ends. It starts with CH3, then followed by so many CH2s, end up with COOH. So the end where CH3 is there, okay, I'm talking about the nomenclature of fatty acid. Where the CH3 is there, it's an omega end. Okay, so omega end is where the methyl group is there. And where the carboxylic group is there, leave that carboxylic acid. Next carbon next to carboxylic is alpha carbon, and followed by beta and gamma. After that, no need to remember. Alpha, beta, gamma is important, because this you should know, so that you will come to know when you're talking about beta oxidation, what is beta oxidation, what is omega oxidation, alpha oxidation, all those things you'll be knowing it. Yes. Okay. So the carbon which is next to COOH is designated as alpha, then beta and gamma. The methyl group carbon is named as omega. So if I'm going to talk omega 3, means the double bond, if it is present here, okay, the carbon, or I can say like carbon from the omega end, 1, 2, 3. This is omega 3 carbon, right? Okay. So as I told to you, in wax, I'm not going to talk much. In operation theaters, they used to use something called bone wax for filling. Okay, that you should be knowing. This is one of the clinical significance. Apart from that, as I told you, simple lipids we have seen. Now we know what is triglyceride and what is wax we have seen. Fine. And apart from that, how do you classify fatty acids? Depending upon the chain length. As we see already, chain length differs. If this is 1 carbon, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I say, my example, if this is 16, this is 18, this is 20. So chain length is one of the way which I can classify. Medium chain, maybe short, medium, and long. Okay, example. And depending upon the double bonds, there is no double bond, so it is saturated. There is one double bond, so it is mono unsaturated. If there is completely saturated, no double bonds, so this is a saturated fatty acid. This is unsaturated in one place, mono unsaturated, and there are so many polyunsaturated fatty acids. That is called PUFA, PUFA, or mono unsaturated fatty acids, MUFA, right? So that's what I have written it here. Depending upon the chain length or number of double bonds or branching. Till now we have not seen, it's a straight line. Sometimes it can be branched. Example, I will tell you, an odd or even number carbon. Sometimes, most of the times you have even number of carbons in your body. Some animal ruminants, they form this odd number of carbons. You should know this. Why? Because in beta oxidation, you will have a slight difference when it is getting oxidized. The end product, okay, in that you will have a slight difference between odd and even number carbons. So this is like based on the chain length, as I told you. Short chain, if it has 2 to 6 carbon, the short chain. Medium is like 8 to 14, and more than that, 60 till 18 it is long, and very long is more than 20. Most of the times, very long chain fatty acids are present in brain. And why is there any importance to know about the chain length? Yes, because depending upon the chain length, some fatty acids, okay, they want to just go from cytosol into mitochondria. So for them, if the chain is medium or long or very long, they need a transporter called carnitine to enter into the mitochondria. But the short chain fatty acids, they may not be requiring the transporter. Okay. So if you see butter or even some I can see newborns or whatever, they don't require much of the transporter if they are on short chain fatty acid diet, right? Okay. Just remember right now, like at least this medium and long chain, they require a transporter. And based on the number of double bonds, I told you, saturated, unsaturated. Saturated doesn't have any double bonds. Unsaturated can be mono or poly, that is MOFA or PUFA. Okay. And you're going to read saturated. How does it remain in room temperature? Example, there are so many oils, right? Means you'll have coconut oil, you have a cooking oil. But if you see coconut oil in winters, it used to get frozen. But cooking oils never. So that has a relationship with saturation. Okay. If it is saturated, what will happen? Okay, I used to remember saturated. Okay, you just read it. Okay, saturated remains solids or liquids. And if you increase temperature, what will happen? Okay, all these things you are going to read. So based on the branching, as I told to you, few lipids, they have branching. So branched fatty acids, example is phytanic acid. You have a disease in relation to this. You will read it later when you're coming for oxidation. And odd or even chain, as I told to you, most of the things are even chain, but some ruminant fats, they have odd chain fatty acids. So this is the phytanic acid. Apart from CH3, CH2, you have methyl branching, that is phytanic acid. So here, if you see that this is alpha carbon, this is a beta carbon. Yes, this is COH, alpha, beta. In beta carbon, you have a methyl group. So when you're coming for oxidation, this methyl will be interfering. So you have to learn something, like when you're coming for the oxidation, just remember this. Why I'm mentioning the branch chain fatty acid is, this have a slight modification when you're studying about its oxidation, because the beta portion is occupied by a methyl group. This is, as I told you, saturated fatty acid. Just an example, palmitic acid, commonest example, 16 carbon molecule. This is the omega end because methyl group is there, carboxylic group is there. This is going to be an alpha, beta, and gamma carbon, right? So you can see that there are 16, 14, 15, 16 carbon molecule. There is no double bond. So it is an example for saturated fatty acid. And chain, you have to remember, medium or long chain. Yes. And depending upon the double bond, as I told you, this is an unsaturated fatty acid because they have a single double bond. Yes. So double bond, one double bond. Okay. So this is nothing but mono unsaturated fatty acid. And this is just an example for your viva purpose. Okay. And there are some health issues. If you want to just notice this, you see the double bond here. This is in the form of a boat, means a bucket type of. Yes. And this one, it is in the opposite direction. If you can see that the kinking will be more here. Yes. This is like in the same direction and this is the opposite direction. So this is cis double bond and this configuration is trans double bond. Trans double bond or trans fats are not healthy for humans, right? So we'll see why and how trans double bonds are introduced. So this is some examples. I'm not going to elaborate it. Already we have seen one medium chain example, 16 carbon palmitic acid. And there are so many long and very long, at least know one example for each, right? So coming to the same nomenclature, see, you can see here, if I want to talk about oleic acid, the representation will be like this in the book. Yes, means if I'm just talking about palmitoic acid, it's 16 carbon and 1 double bond. This number is depicting the number of double bond and where the double bond is present. This is the delta 9 position, means from omega end, you can see that it between 9 and 10th carbon. So 16 carbon, 1 double bond at 9th position. So oleic acid is 18 carbon molecule having 1 double bond. So this is an unsaturated fatty acid, that is monounsaturated fatty acid having a double bond at 9. Same way, same carbon, 18 carbon having 1 double bond in the same 9th position, but if it is in trans, it is having a different name, right? So you have so many nomenclature, no need to remember all this, but at least remember that every fatty acid, when have a different configuration, it will be different, means its structure, its physical properties, everything will be different, right? Yeah. So the same thing for polyunsaturated fatty acid. I told you till now that was 1 double bond. So you can see 18 carbon. Here also 18 carbon, but 1 double bond. Here 18 carbon, 2 double bond. Same 18 carbon, 3. So the position is 9 and 12th position, you have a double bond. And you have here 3 double bond. One is at 6, 9 and 12. And here they have mentioned something called family. Yes. So as I told to you, if I'm going to see the omega family, okay, it's already I told you how to count the omega numbers from omega end. Yes, in this one, if you see, there is 18 carbon molecule from the omega end, the last double bond, yes, will be at 12th position. Yes, so easy way to remember is always number of carbons minus where the last double bond is present. 18 is the number of total number of carbon minus last double bond is at 12. So that is 6. It belongs to omega 6. Example, if we take this same 18 carbon, there are 3 double bonds. Yes, one is at 9, 12 and 15. So 18 minus 15, the last double bond is at 15th position. So that is omega 3. Even though you have 18 carbons in both, gamma linolenic is 18 carbon, same alpha linolenic is also 18 carbon. You have 3 double bonds in both, but the position varies. This has double bonds in position 6, 9 and 12, and this has double bonds at 9, 12 and 15. So if you subtract this, 18 minus 12, it is omega 6, and 8 minus 15, omega 3. And one more homework is, our human body doesn't have enzyme to introduce double bonds beyond certain position. Then those becomes essential. Okay, you're going to read that. Okay, fine. So, and next is an important compound is arachidonic acid. You can see that it's 20 carbon molecule. It's having 4 double bond. Remember one position first, 5. Then keep adding 3. 5 plus 3, 8. 8 plus 3, 11. 11 plus 3, 14. Yes. Arachidonic, at least you have to remember, it's a 20 carbon molecule. It has 4 double bonds. Remember 5. Then you keep adding 3. There are 4 double bonds. 5, 8, 11, 14. So what is the family for this? 20 minus last double bond is at 14. So 20 minus 14 is 6, omega 6 family, right? And the next name, it's not at all difficult. See, Icaso means 20. Docaso means 22. So Icaso 20 carbon, penta 5, enoic is double bonds. So 20 carbon, penta, enoic. Enoic is double bonds at this position. Yes, you can see the same arachidonic acid, say one more double bond is introduced, the 17th position. Yes, so can you prepare this Icaso pentaenoic from arachidonic? You have to introduce a double bond here. Yes, docosahexaenoic is 22. Docoso is 22. Hexa is 6. Enoic is double bond. So it becomes docosahexaenoic acid, and other name is carbonic acid, right? So what is the family for this docosahexaenoic? 22 minus 19, because 19th position the last double bond is present. So it is omega 3. So all these things are 20 minus 17, omega 3. Yes. So you should know at least omega 3 family, because you would have seen so many doctors will be prescribing omega 3 tablets or omega 3 fatty acids because it's essential for health, right? Okay. So I think now you have to see this. I think so many of them would have thought regarding corona just by seeing wash hands with the soap and So at least I can say like 10 or 15 people would have thought, okay, this is not the one. This is just to wake you up. How not to fall asleep at the wheel. You're not driving, but still leave the first point. Apart from that, you can eat nuts and seeds. You'll sleep more. You do some warm-up exercises. You wash your face. You go and converse with someone, and you put loud music because anyway you are muted, right? Okay. So I can give you a 2-minute break. Really, those who are awake or those who are sleeping, if you are hearing me, just get up, just do some stretching exercises, and then we'll just get back in a minute. Yes. If you have any questions, those who want to type it, you can type it here. I'm seeing just one by one messages, so yeah. Somebody has questioned when palmitic acid, couldn't we? Number of carbon atoms from COH as a reference. See, the number of carbon atoms anyway, whichever end you are going to count it is going to be same. I'm telling like the carbon atom which is adjacent to COH is alpha. And you can count one from there also or one from omega. Number of carbon atoms anyway will remain same, right? Yeah. Somebody wrote lungs, such a lungs has to work continuously. Yes, obviously, but even you can hold your breath sometime, but I think heart has to continuously working anyway. Yes, lungs also needs. So previous slides, I don't know. I'm really nice. Achha, I don't know. Let's see when you're coming in person, no? Then we'll meet. Teaching really well, Akash. Thank you, Akash. Not at all feeling sleepy. Wow, good. Even when you are coming for in-person class, no, even I will not feel sleepy. Otherwise, no. Sitting in a room and talking alone, really, I feel like a psychiatric patient. What are the two homeworks you ask? You have to ask your friends. Even I forget really. I think one I asked you to read about plasmalogen, and another. I think other people can help you here. Even I forgot about it. Okay, it's 2 minutes over. Shall we start? In message, or should I give you 2 more minutes? We should start. Okay, fine. 2 more minutes. Okay. Something about beta oxidation will be a separate class. Okay, just I'm giving you see, when fatty acids are going to oxidize, it will give energy, same way like carbohydrate, right? When you oxidize glucose, when you oxidize any molecule, you'll get energy. So there is something called oxidation of fats. So it can be beta at beta position, at alpha position. All those things will teach you in detail. Okay, this is a chemistry class, so I'll just tell you in brief, and then now yeah, Sumit. I think you're asking to start, but I think who's that? Atul is messy, asked for 2 more minutes. Atul, you should come back soon, otherwise Sumit will come and hit you. He is asking to start immediately. I think his sleeping time is at 4, so he want to go to bed. Come fast. Sweetie, it is about, yeah, that's what I'm telling about beta oxidation. We'll have a separate class. Yeah, we can start now. Okay, Atul. Fine. So till now we have seen some classification. What is simple lipid, and we are going to see complex lipid. What is simple lipid? That is triglyceride. So what is the structure of? I should on my camera. Okay. If you're not getting bored, I'll switch it on then. Okay, I think now I'm visible. Okay, fine. You should not feel more sleepy on seeing me, right? Okay, so till now we have seen simple lipids and some example for simple lipid, right? Triglyceride, how does the triglyceride look? And we have seen the triglycerides may all the three fatty acids can be different, right? Okay, now I have told you something about omega-3 fatty acid. On seeing the omega-3 family, there are so many omega-3 fatty acids, but common ones are alpha-linolenic. Why I have mentioned alpha? Because there is something called gamma-linolenic, okay, but that is not an omega-3 family. And there are some fatty acids which are essential, means which you have to supply through diet. Okay, fine. So these are some example. Already I told you ECOSO is 25 double bonds. Yes, so easily you can see that 20 carbon, 5 double bond means here this omega-3 family. So mostly last double bond will be at 17 because 20 minus 17 is 3, right? So DOCOSO is 22 and 6 double bonds. Okay, so last double bond should be in, this is 22. So last double bond should be in, type the answer. I can see at least. Anyone? 19. Yes, good. Very good. Okay. So I think good. You're listening. So docosahexaenoic, I'll just, yeah. So this is omega-3 fatty acid. Docoso is 22. And as you mentioned, 19th position, you have the last double bond. So it becomes omega-3 fatty acids. Yes. Okay. So this is the example as I told you, omega-6, see, linolenic and linolic. So linolic is omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acid. And arachidonic, as I told you, how many carbons are there in arachidonic acid? At least arachidonic you have to remember. Yes. 20. Very good. And how many double bonds? You can see the picture even. 4. Very good. Nice. Okay. And as I told you, you have to remember where is the first double or last double bond present in arachidonic acid? 14. Yes, because it is omega-6 family. Total number of carbon is 20. So 20 minus 14 is 6. Okay. So arachidonic acid, at least you remember. I will tell you why. Arachidonic acid means this is the omega end and this is OH. 5, 8, 11 and 14. Yes. See that question will be right. Okay. Some beneficial effects are omega-3 fatty acids will be. See, I have mentioned very few. It will be prescribed for so many patients, even those who are having at high risk for cardiovascular diseases as a cardioprotective role. This mean fish oils. This omega-3 is rich in fish oils. So I can say that this have a cardioprotective role. And even in infantile growth and development, some of them, they have neural disorders or defective neural development. They used to prescribe this omega fatty acids or fish oils, right? Okay. Okay, and essential fatty acid, as I told to you, linolic and alpha-linolenic are essential fatty acids that has to be supplied by diet. So you will be learning why. As I told you, I gave you one more homework. Yes, this one I asked you. One is plasmalogen, and next one is the double bond will not be, our body will not be able to introduce double bond beyond certain positions. Okay, then that become essential. Okay, now important thing is, see this slide, you are going to listen carefully. Okay. So as I told you, arachidonic acid, from arachidonic acid, see sometimes I think somebody has asked, yes, see in this omega-3 and the double bond question, no, I might be like mistaken from omega end or from the alpha end. Don't worry. You understood the concept, right? Sometimes, no, when I'm talking, I may not be like, because I'm just concentrating in slides and your messages side by side. Okay, fine. So this is an arachidonic acid. from arachidonic acid, 20 carbon compound, you are going to synthesize so many important compounds, something called prostaglandins, something called thromboxanes, something called leukotrienes. Okay. So always remember there is some pathway called lipoxygenase pathway. Okay. This is important because from arachidonic acid, you are producing a common precursor, PGH2, prostaglandin H2, and from there you are producing all the thromboxane, PGI2, E2, means prostaglandins have so many types. When you're coming to physiology, you'll read everything have a different role. It's like a double-edged sword, right? So you have so many molecule, and all the structure you will learn later. Prostaglandins, because it has been initially isolated from prostate gland, so it has been named as prostaglandins, nothing else. And thromboxanes, the name itself is telling something related to thrombo, so it might be isolated from. I'm not telling it's present only in prostate glands. Do you understand? The name, derivation of name occurs because initially it has been isolated from prostate gland. And thromboxanes means, so where it will be present? Yeah, guess. I'm not seeing any messages. I don't know whether my net is slow or not. Platelets, very good. Okay, so thromboxanes are present in platelets, and then this prostaglandins, they are present in so many molecules. See, gastric mucosa, bronchial mucosa, and it has been used for causing abortion. See, loss of parturition, right? So mifepristone, there are so many drugs which they use to terminate the pregnancy, right? And so many have been used as anti-inflammatory, and in bronchial conditions it has played a major role, and protection of gastric mucosa. So obviously you'll be using this as a gastric ulcers, right? There are so many things. This prostaglandins played a major role in so many different issues, and thromboxanes in, as I told you, in platelets. Why oxane? See, thrombos in platelets, there is something called oxane ring. I have showed you a structure. See, if I'm going to tell you this is an arachidonic acid, a straight line is an arachidonic acid. I'm folding the arachidonic acid like this. Okay. Example, if this is the arachidonic acid, okay, 20 carbon arachidonic acid. Okay. Maybe I'm telling if I'm folding the arachidonic acid like this, and there is a double bond which links both the, in this folding, it becomes a ring. Am I right? So now this is arachidonic acid. If I'm folding it, I'll be creating a ring which is called a oxane ring, right? So structure of thromboxane just is nothing but, if you see in the book, it will be confusing. Don't get confused. That is very easy. Arachidonic acid, straight lines, linear structure. I'm folding it, and there is a just one O will be binding the both the chains. That is oxane, right? Thromboxanes. And next is leukotrienes. Leukotrienes you would have heard somewhere. Have you heard this? Not able to see you. Okay. I was explaining in the paper. I think people can see you. It is coming. Okay. It's okay. I think maybe I'll explain you when you see the structure of arachidonic and thrombox in the book. No, you'll be able to. Yeah, we can see you. Even I'm able to see here. Okay. Anyway, fine. Okay. I'm not explaining so many things in the video. That's what I'll try to make it possible in slides only. Right? Okay. Fine. See, leukotrienes. Okay. In hematopoiesis. Fine. Bradykinins. You would have heard this word, and leukotrienes. Name itself. It's yes. You're right. Oneness, it was derived from leukocytes. Initially, same way. It has been derived from leukocytes, and trienes means it has consecutively 3 double bonds. Okay. If you see the structure, okay, same one, arachidonic acid will be there. This is arachidonic linear, and then it got bent. Okay. There is an oxane, there is a bridge, oxygen bridge, it forms oxane ring. On leukotrienes, same way, the leukotriene B, C, D, there are so many things depending upon how many double bonds, where it is present, and all those things, right? Okay. Leuko and trienes is 3 double bonds will be present consecutively. Okay, that's what the name is. And leukotrienes, you'd have heard about right now, being as a COVID pandemic, so many would have been prescribed montelukast. You'd have heard about a drug. Yes? Yes or no? Anyone? Montelukast? Even you people might be taking it. Anti-allergic drug. Yes. That is nothing but a leukotriene antagonist. Yes? Means that is for chronic allergies. So montelukast inhibits the leukotriene synthesis. So I can say that is the leukotriene synthesis. But here, initially itself you can block. If I'm going to block, this is NSAIDs is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Okay, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs or NSAIDs or NSAIDs, whatever you can say. So some example of this NSAIDs are aspirin, brufen, right? All those things are coming under this category NSAID. So NSAIDs, if you see that these block the enzyme, this is nothing but cyclooxygenase. Arachidonic acid is converting into PGH2, prostaglandin H2 by the enzyme cyclooxygenase. Okay, cyclooxygenase, the name itself is self-explanatory. So there are two types of cyclooxygenase, 1 and 2. One will be present in most of the cells and 2 will be particularly, like I can say, like it will not be present in every tissue, it is peculiar for certain tissue. So if I'm going to just block this COX enzyme by giving some drugs, aspirin or brufen, what will happen? These synthesis will not be formed. That's what you can see, that if I'm going to give aspirin, okay, thromboxane A2 will not be synthesized, so the platelet aggregation will not be happening. So in myocardial infarction, those who are at risk for myocardial infarction, this will be prescribed. Okay, so no clot, yes. And one thing you have to just put a question. I'm just telling you, PGI2, it's a vasodilatory, have a vasodilatory action. If I'm putting aspirin here, one good thing is doing is like it is reducing thromboxane A2, okay, but it's also reduces vasodilatory PGI2, right? So vasoconstriction is not good. So you're going to read it, and I'll give you a clue, right? Aspirin, I have mentioned that initial picture 75 mg, okay. That is a low dose aspirin. We used to prescribe it for prevention, okay. But if a patient is coming with MI, the dose will be a bit higher, maybe 300 mg at a time. Yes. So why the low dose aspirin? How does it help to prevent platelet aggregation? And it is prescribed in myocardial infarction. Okay, you're going to read that and you will get a nice answer for that. Yes, that is again a homework. Plasmalogen and this one, and one more thing I told you. Yes, okay, that you remember. Okay, fine. So this is one example I told you. Just you're going to read about this in detail, right? And here there are something called COX-2 inhibitors. Means if I'm going to aspirin, brufen, all those things will inhibit everything. If I just want only the this thromboxane inhibition, but this will also inhibit all the other prostaglandin synthesis, right? But there are COX-2 inhibitors which will selectively inhibit COX-2. Those COX-2 inhibitors like celecoxib, etrocoxib, all these coxibs, okay, COX inhibitors that are called coxibs. All these coxibs, many of the coxibs have been, I can say like 2 or 3 have been banned in India and even in foreign countries, because it was beneficial, means it can just block particular inflammatory points. So there has been prescribed in arthritis, especially in arthritis pain, but that has been banned in few countries because it was giving rise to some cardiac rhythmic mortalities. So that has been banned now, right? Still, there are so many coxib which works, does wonders, right? Because it reduces the other side effects of this COX-1. Where to read? You can just search so many books, but maybe you will get the soft copy, I think so. I prefer Marks, M-A-R-K-S, Marks Medical Biochemistry. That is easy for the first year and you will get answers. Otherwise, you can get answers in internet anyway. Yes, Marks is a good book. You try to get the soft copy. It is available. If not, then I can send you the soft copy. Okay, you just ask for the soft copy in the group, then I'll ask them to post it there, right? If the size is feasible. Okay. Okay, now we have done something with simple lipid and something about some compounds which are produced from the simple lipid, right? Okay, next thing is, as I told you, fat always refers to triacylglycerol. This already we have seen. What are oils now? Oils are nothing but same fat but in liquid state, right? So oils are fat in liquid state at room temperature. And what are refined oils? Nowadays you are getting so many refined oils. So refining is nothing but they will remove the odor and color from the oil. This odor is removed by so many steps. Okay, only few I have mentioned. alkali refining, and then bleaching they will do, and deodorization with superheated steam. They will apply so much of heat and all these things. This will not only remove your color and odor, also this will remove the nutritional values. That's what the cold pressed oil comes into play. This cold pressed oil refers to oil where they used to just take the oil with by applying minimal amount of heat, okay, and compared to this modern techniques, they will apply minimal amount of the friction will be less, so the oil will retain its flavor, aroma, nutritional value, right? And obviously this is good for cooking. And this I'm going to skip saponification number and add in number. Okay, so this you're going to read it. I think 12th standard you'd have read it, right? Yeah. So how many times can you reuse oil for cooking? Yes. Difference between compound simple, yes, will come now. I have not even started the complex lipid. Yeah, can you reuse oil for cooking? Just I'm scrolling down your answers. Okay, yes, no, you 2 times. Okay, you can't. Most of the times we say no, because if you use the oil for see, always there is nothing called dictum. It's like all scientific things. Today we'll be telling like, okay, don't reuse it, and tomorrow maybe acid 2 times. It's okay. Why I'm telling? One thing is transitivity of fatty acids. If it is in a plant-based oil, polysaturated fatty acid, if when it is exposed to repeated heat, it will produce so many compounds. Okay, dicarboxylic acid, aldehydes, ketones, which are harmful. And those oils, you can see that when you use the oil for the second time, there will be a change in the color and unpleasant taste to the rancid oil. Yes, and there are so many food additives. See, example, if I'm going to take a packed samosa, right, means ready to eat. All those food additives like this, so many molecules will be added to oils to prevent oxidation of oils, right? Okay, and what is vanaspati? We will be knowing that so many, maybe I can say when you eat outside, they'll be using a lot of vanaspati. Is it good for health? No. Why? Why I prefer like using ghee better than like rather than vanaspati? Yeah, if you see that, yes, hydrogenated vegetable oil. Okay, what is it? Hydrogenation. See, partial hydrogenation or hydrogenation introduces trans double bond. As I told you initially, if I'm going to just cis saturated fat, say we just are introducing a trans saturated fat. Okay, why they are introducing this trans saturated fat? This will maintain the shelf life of that vanaspati or any other oil or either food products, so that the shelf life will remain longer. So if you see your Lay's chips packet, what will be written? No trans fatty acids, okay, or zero trans fat or zero cholesterol. Is it true? I'll tell you it's completely wrong. Why? Because one thing is like zero trans fat, we don't know, because you can't keep something for so long without making it hydrogenation, even partial hydrogenation. Okay. And next thing is, do plant oils contain cholesterol or only animal food contain cholesterol? If you see that, yes, some of the plants, I can say sitosterol is a plant cholesterol, plant sterol. Ergosterol is a fungal sterol, but cholesterol is completely an animal sterol, right? So if I'm telling in a Lay's chips, which is made out of potato, they are telling zero cholesterol. Cholesterol is from animal fat, right? And chips is made of plant. So if they are mentioning zero sitosterol is fine, right? But they are mentioning zero cholesterol. That is obviously there will be no cholesterol there. It's not like they have removed the cholesterol and giving it to you. Okay. So whatever you're eating, try to eat fresh food. That is always, always, always healthy. So however you justify the packed food or the additive added, preservative added food is not at all healthy. That will have its own effects, right, on health. Okay. So right now we have seen simple lipid and something about arachidonic acid in the products achieved. So only thing which is remaining is compound lipid and derived. So derived, we'll just see one is the cholesterol. As I told you, because I was talking about sterol, trans fatty acid and sterol. So all sterols will have the CPP ring. CPP is cyclopentano perhydrophenanthrene ring. So this is cyclopentanone, perhydro, the whole thing is like a phenanthrene ring. Okay, this just remember, it's not needed that you should mug it up. Okay, all the sterols contain. So why I put this structure is, this is totally different from your triacyl glycerol structure. Am I right? So triacyl glycerol have a glycerol and 3 fatty acid. This structure, especially your cholesterol is a sterol, right? So cholesterol have this basic structure. So you can now notice that cholesterol and fatty acids are totally different in structure. This is the cholesterol. Cholesterol is 27 carbon molecules. You can see the 27 carbon. There is only one OH in third position. So it's completely hydrophobic except this OH. This is the polar group, only polar group in cholesterol. So just I will give you a clue now. Remember this. Can I this cholesterol? I can't say it's completely hydrophobic. Am I right? Because there is one OH. Still it is very, very, very minimally polar because of this OH. So if I am going to make this cholesterol more polar, what will happen? What is the name of that then? If I make this cholesterol more polar by adding OH group, okay, I'll give you another clue. If I'm going to add more OH group to this, and it will become more polar, what it will become? Now it is no more cholesterol. Then it will become amphipathic. Very good. Any name? Carbohydrate. Okay, good. Okay, it's not carbohydrate. I will not add that much. I'm telling one more OH. If I'm adding one OH in 7th position, it become a bile salt. Okay, primary bile salt. And second, if I'm adding a one more OH in secondary 12th position, it becomes secondary bile salt. So bile salts are amphipathic, obviously, right? So if I want to dissolve, see, if I have a glass of water, I'm going to put 1 drop of oil into that, it will not get mixed, right? But if I want to make it mixed, what should I add? As maybe a drop of soap liquid, right? So that is amphipathic. So that will make this water and cholesterol miscible, right? Same way, here I'm making it more amphipathic so that the bile salts will help to take my fats, form a missile structure, cover all the fatty molecule, whatever I'm taking it in diet, and then it will just cover it, and to transport across the enterocyte, the bile salts will be really helpful, or amphipathic molecules will be helpful to transport the fat or cholesterol across the membrane enterocyte, and then it will just go into either the circulation or into a chyle or the lymphatic duct. Okay, because the sizes are bigger, sometimes it may not directly enter into the blood, so it can enter into the lymphatic duct. Okay, when you're coming for the anatomy, you will read about it, where the lymphatic duct is coming and opening. Yes, okay. And you will come to know that even a person whose blood is having high triglyceride amount, how does it look? Milky fluid. Yes, all those things you will learn it later. Just remember. Yes. And what are the compounds which have this ring? Is till now we have read about electron transport chain. So ubiquinone. Yes, you remember where in your electron transport chain, a carrier, right? So ubiquinone has this isoprenoid structure. Why? Because now you can just remember the ubiquinone have to carry your electrons within the lipid bilayer, right? The mitochondria has the lipid bilayer. So it should be having a amphipathic structure so that it can just take it and give it. So ubiquinone is that kind of structure. Dolicol, you will read it later. All fat soluble vitamins, yes, and steroid hormones, which are synthesized from cholesterol. Okay, your estrogen, testosterone, all this cortisol, aldosterone, all those things are synthesized from steroid hormone. See, just a very really fascinating thing is your cholesterol have 27 carbon. When you see all the steroid hormone synthesis, okay, 18, okay, estrogen, I used to remember like this, estrogen, E and E, it starts with E, right, estrogen. So it has 18 carbon, and your testosterone have 19. So if you see that, just one carbon difference, it makes a lot of, imagine, you can easily differentiate a boy and girl, right? But this one carbon, this is a major hormone which differs among the two genders. But all these things are really fascinating. Means, and cortisol, OL, means you have a lot of alcohol group there. Yes, aldosterone, ONE, ketone group. So if you're coming from synthesizing all this thing from cholesterol, very easy, but it's stunning. Means just one molecule or one position may, there is one group added or one group removed. It has a lot of differences, right? Okay. So role of cholesterol, I have just mentioned one thing. it is a normal component of cell membrane. So why I mentioned this, it is not always to tell that low cholesterol is good. No, cholesterol is an important molecule for your body. If somebody is having zero cholesterol, they will die, right? Because cholesterol is a normal component for cell membrane and it modulates the membrane fluidity, right? This is for exam purpose. At lower temperature, it increases fluidity. How? You will be knowing it. I am not going to talk about the lipid bilayer now. Already you would have learned about it, right? Yeah. Yes, fluid buffer. Good. So next thing is derivatives of cholesterol. I told you bile acids. If I'm going to hydroxylate cholesterol, already gave you a clue. 7th question, 7-alpha hydroxylase, bile acid primary, and then 12th question becomes secondary. Yes, we'll study all these things in detail later. And steroid hormone, as I told you, an important thing is vitamin D that is going to be synthesized from cholesterol. Yes. Okay. Now we'll move to complex lipid, right? You want a break for a minute or we'll continue? I think some 50, maybe 10 or 12 slides are there. We can finish it off or tell me? Continue. Very good. Okay. So as I told you, compound lipids, it's nothing but triglycerides with compound with something. So if I'm going to have a structure of triglycerides, okay, I'll just show you the next picture. It'll be easy for you to understand. Yeah. See, this is the glycerol backbone, CH2OH, CH2OH. This I just twisted this side so that it became easy for you, not to confuse you. See, this is the glycerol backbone, fatty acid 1, fatty acid 2, and instead of this one, okay, if I mask this X, only this structure is there. 2 fatty acid plus phosphate. This is called phosphatidic acid, okay. But in this phosphate, if I'm going to add one more group, okay, able to get it? Yeah, this is glycerol, 1 fatty acid, 2nd fatty acid, and 3rd, only phosphate is there, it is called phosphatidic acid. If I'm going to remove one fatty acid from that phosphatidic acid, that is called lysophosphatidic acid, okay. So if I'm going to add one group here, this can be, as I told you, it's amine group or carbohydrate moiety, whatever it is. So all these things are polar and these fatty acids are apolar, right? Okay. So which enzyme will cleave this is phospholipase. Yes, because this is a phospholipid, because phosphate is there, it's a triglyceride. So phospholipid. So the phospholipid which cleaves this position may not cleave this one because R2 may be different. So phospholipase A, B, C, A1, A2, there are so many differences, different enzymes are there that are specific to the particular position, right? Okay. So this backbone, okay, maybe glycerol. Till now I was talking about glycerol only. The glycerol, if it is a backbone, this is called glycerophospholipid. Sphingosine, that is another amino alcohol. Okay, if you see the sphingosine structure, you will come to know that in sphingosine, it is like a L-shaped structure. Okay, it is like this, means L-shaped structure. So only one fatty acid will be attached. Means this is like a sphingosine structure. You have 18 molecule amino alcohol, that is sphingosine. Where it is synthesized, you are going to read it. So if sphingosine is the backbone, and then it is called sphingophospholipid. If glycerol is the backbone, till now whatever I have seen, that is glycerophospholipids. Okay, so I'll show you the examples. If phosphatidyl, the X is colon, then it is called lecithin. If X is inositol, it is phosphatidyl inositol. If X is serine, then it's phosphatidyl serine, and ethanolamine, and plus. So many things are there like that. I have just given you few examples. And sphingophospholipid, it is called sphingomyelin, right? One example only I have given. You know what is sphingomyelin? It coats the myelinated nerves, right? This X can be colon, then it is called lecithin. If this X is ethanolamine, what is that? Phosphatidyl ethanolamine, and same way, okay? This X will be keep changing. And if this backbone is sphingosine, and then it will be called sphingomyelin. X group, you are going to read it, yes? So glycerophospholipid, as I told you, all these things have different function, okay? One is important thing is this one, phosphatidyl colon. I'm not telling this is everything is important. Inositol, phosphatidylserine, you will be reading when you are coming for your apoptosis. All these apoptotic cells will release this phosphatidylserine, and phosphatidylinositol, it's going to be playing an important role in the signaling pathway. So imagine if it is going to be an important part of the signaling pathway, it will be present in inner leaflet of the cell membrane, right? So whenever some hormone or something is bind to the receptor in the interior of the cell will have this attached phosphatidylinositol. So that will just trigger the next linkages so that the signal will get transmitted. Okay. So all these things have different roles, and phosphatidylcholine or lecithin is called surfactant, right? Dipalmitoyl lecithin means you have a glycerol, 2-palmitoyl. R1 is palmitic acid, R2 is palmitic acid, and here phosphate linked with choline. Total structure is called lecithin. Yes, already I told to you 2 fatty acid plus phosphate is called phosphatidyl and choline. Okay, now I think there is no confusion here. So this phosphatidylcholine is lecithin. That is nothing but surfactant. That was the answer for the first question, right? What will happen? What is surfactant? You know that physical chemistry they have taught you, right? Means surfactant will, I'll show you a picture, then we'll come to understand that. Yes, already I've given you a picture of respiratory syndrome distress, right? Okay, we'll come back to that. Next slide. Sphingophospholipid, one example is sphingomyelin. And as I told you, phospholipids also play a major role because they form inner and outer leaflets of membrane, and this contains so many different phospholipids, because in the cell structure you will be drawing like this, one goal and two tails, right? This two tails, okay, the round is called polar, okay, and then two of this tails are called two different fatty acids. Okay, the cell structure you are drawing like, I can say like, yes, you'll be drawing like this if you're able to see from, okay, this will be your bilipid phospholayer. So all this goal is your polar head COOH, and all this three are CH3 CH2. Oh, okay, this two might be two different fatty acids. That's what one you're making is a dent and one is a straight line. Okay, it's not for fancy thing, as everything has a depiction meaning. Yes, okay. So now we are coming, as I told you, is lung surfactant. You can see that surfactant layer. This is, you know that there are two types of alveolar cell pneumocytes. So in alveolar type 2, you have this inner coating which is lined by surfactant. Okay, this is the air space, and this is the blood capillaries will be coming this side. So when air is coming in, and surfactant should be there in the lung membrane. Otherwise, it is like a balloon filled with water, right? If you fill the water with, balloon with water, if you blow it, it will be very difficult for it to expand, right? But if there is something which is there in the interface, which is not allowing it to collapse completely, it is easy for the balloon to expand, right? So surfactant layer will prevent collapsing of the lungs. This surfactant will be produced in the neonates in the late trimester, means the mother, the last trimester. So if the newborn has to be delivered for any reasons, but before the expected date, okay, not but, maybe I can say like 4 or 5 weeks, okay, 32 weeks, 31 weeks, see, then what they used to do, they give steroids for the mother so that the lung maturity of the baby will be fastened, or still there is no possibility for that, then they will keep the synthetic surfactant ready. When the baby is born, the baby will be having respiratory distress syndrome, but they can give synthetic surfactant and baby can be saved, right? Okay. And can we detect this in the antenatal mother? Yes. Means if the mother is asking, she is much bothered, I want to know whether my baby's lung is matured enough or not. There is a test in the amniotic fluid of the mother, amniocentesis. There is a process called amniocentesis. You can take the amniotic fluid. You can't poke the lungs of the baby and check it. Yes. So the baby is in the womb. Antenatal means before delivery. Postnatal is after delivery, right? So antenatal, you can just check the lecithin sphingomyelin ratio in amniotic fluid to check whether the lung maturity for the baby has been occurred or not. If this LS ratio, lecithin sphingomyelin ratio, is more than 2, it indicates lung has been matured. You can safely deliver the baby. If not, as I told you, you should keep the surfactant ready, right? There are so many other tests, foam index and all those. I have not confused you. Just at least know this for your level, right? Okay, and you can see always just go and see the X-ray. How does it look like? Normal X-ray and respiratory distress syndrome baby's X-ray. Yes. Okay. And next, how these lipids are all transported in the blood? Means I told you it's completely apolar or hydrophobic. If I'm going to put blood is like a miscible one. Yes, you can mix the blood in the water. So I'm going to put 1 drop of oil into that. What will happen? It will not be miscible. It will just form something called oil embolus. Okay, or I can say fat emboli, and it will go and occlude so many arteries or vessels. Yes, it can cause serious detrimental effects. So how does the lipid can get transported in the blood? Just by combining with, as you told, amphipathic molecules or proteins. Okay, it will just combine with them, and those proteins or which carries this lipids in the blood are called lipoproteins. Okay, these are not only helpful in the transport of fat, that also carry the fat soluble vitamins and any other I can say like apolar molecules. And cardiolipin, we'll leave it, just you know that cardiolipin, I think you'd have noticed it in the phosphatidyl phospholipids I mentioned as cardiolipin. And this cardiolipin antibodies, anti-cardiolipin antibodies are clinically significant in some of the diseases like antiphospholipid syndrome, where the mothers will have frequent abortions. Then we used to check this APS, antiphospholipid syndrome. They used to check this anti-cardiolipin antibodies. And SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus. Again, this is an autoimmune diseases where this levels will be checked. Okay, fine. So coming to the lipoprotein bag, sorry, that slide would have been before. Anyway, as I told you, see, this is a lipoprotein. If you're taking an egg in the morning, that contains triglycerides, right? You're taking the egg, and then that is going in, that has a lot of triglycerides and phospholipids. Those phospholipids and triglycerides, it has to cross the enterocyte, right? As I told you, they are bigger in structure. They can't just go there, and also they are apolar, so they need a transport molecule. So just to cross, they have to get covered with an amphipathic molecule. You can see here, all polar, the amphipathic molecule, the polar head is lying out. The blue color gold is just lying out, so that it mimics that it is polar outside, but inside it has the tails. Okay, the tail is hydrophobic, but inside the core is filled with all this hydrophobic molecules like triglycerides, phospholipids, cholesterol, cholesterol esters. Okay, cholesterol ester is nothing but the cholesterol bound with fatty acid. I think you remember in third position I showed you OH, right? If I'm going to add one fatty acid to that, cholesterol plus fatty acid in the third position through an ester linkage, that is called cholesterol ester, right? That becomes completely apolar. Do you understand? Cholesterol, normal cholesterol having one polar group in third position, that is slightly polar because of that OH. But if I esterify a fatty acid in the third position, it becomes a cholesterol ester. It becomes completely apolar, right? Okay. Any doubts here? Any doubts? Okay, fine. Okay, so this is one of the lipoprotein. There are different types of lipoprotein. I have mentioned it here. See, outside, I told you the core will be filled with triglycerides, phospholipids, cholesterol ester. Outside, there are so many different lipoproteins. It is called chylomicron, very low density lipoprotein or VLDL. Ideal is intermediate density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein, high density lipoprotein. These four, VLDL, chylomicrons we are not measuring, triglycerides, okay. Triglyceride is not a lipoprotein, that is a fat, as I told you, neutral fat that occupies much of the space in some of the lipoproteins. So VLDL, you can see that TG is much more in VLDL and chylomicrons. But when the size, when you can see the HDL, high density lipoprotein, which is a good cholesterol, it doesn't contain TG. It has high density, means it has proteins and low fat. So example is triglycerides. Even though it is, when you see a obese person, even though they are much obese, okay, chubby, but their weight will be comparatively, if I have two persons, one is like highly muscular, they have high protein content in the muscle, and one is even short and chubby, they have more triglycerides. If you weigh both of their weight, no, almost their weight will be equal. You might be astonished, oh, this person is obese or chubby, but this person is thin and tall and having a high muscular thing, because this protein weight density is going to be more. That's how high density lipoprotein. Low density has lot of cholesterol esters. Okay, so you should see this, you should keep this in mind when you're coming for lipoprotein transport. This becomes very important. Your chylomicron and VLDL have same contents, lot of TG. So this is going to be dietary and VLDL is going to be synthesized within the body. Just remember TG, whatever you are eating in TG, so it will be formed as a chylomicron, and this is VLDL, and LDL contain lot of cholesterol ester. HDL will have lot of protein, phospholipid, and cholesterol, minimal of cholesterol ester. Yes, okay. And you can see some other molecule here, B48, B100, and there are different colors. Mean these are specific for those lipoprotein. For chylomicron, if I see B48, that is an apoprotein. Okay, that is a marker I can say for chylomicron. And VLDL, from VLDL, ILDL is produced. Means if I'm removing TG out, it becomes sort of lesser in size, becomes intermediate size. And still if I'm removing TG and it is concentrated with cholesterol, become LDL. So it is like a daughter of VLDL give birth to IDL, IDL give birth to LDL, right? So only thing is TG will come out, TG will come out. You can ask where the TG is going. As I told you, it's source of energy. So it keeps going in and out depending upon the energy requirement, right? So this is thing. One more thing is lipid profile. So lipid profile we used to do it, yes, in the fasting sample, because I don't want the chylomicrons which is contributed by the diet. So you can see that in lipid profile, usually there are so many elaborated detailed lipid profile, but the basic lipid profile will estimate cholesterol, triglycerides, HDL, LDL. Okay, ratio anyway, that's a calculated one. So I used to remember like this. How to remember the normal value? Just go by first HDL is 50, okay, and LDL is 100 approximately, and triglyceride 3, no, so 3 into 50, 150. Cholesterol is 200. 50, 100, 150, 200. 50 is HDL, LDL is 100, and triglyceride is 150. Cholesterol is 200. But in this, everything should be less than 200, less than 150, less than 100. But HDL should be more than 50, high. Yes, so that is a good cholesterol. So you can remember like this: 50, 100, 150, 200. Triglycerides is 150. So you can make 50, 100, 150, 200, and everything should be less than the target value. But except for HDL, that should be more than that. Yes. So HDL can be increased by exercise, red wine, all those, moderate amount of red wine. Okay. Yes. I think this covers the lipid chemistry. I think I would have covered everything for MBBS level. If something is missing, just will check it and let you know. And you can also, meanwhile, go and read your books. Okay, any book you can read, that is okay. Just learn the subject. And yeah, this is like keep calm and stay positive in these times. And I think you'll be able to help some of the needy ones. Yes. And yes, miles to go before we sleep, and stay positive. Right? Okay. So if you have any doubts, I'll give you just 3 or 4 minutes. You can just type the questions. If the questions are none, then I can just wind up the class. If the questions are more by chance, then I'll reply you in the group or whatever. Yeah. Or you can get my number there and you can just message me. I'll reply you back. Okay. So you want to give some feedback really, like how we can improve in the further classes. I can just try to build this. Okay. Very nice. Thank you. Yeah, exams. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. And really, if you want to give some comments where I had to improve myself, just tell me. Okay. And you can message me in my personal number also if you have any doubts, right? And lipid chemistry, once you understand the basics, okay, it will be easy for you, right? Okay, fine. MCQ subjective, see, Achha, you have an exam term. It's like obviously not only MCQs, the same like last time exam. You'll have MCQs, you'll have questions, I think 2 mark, 5 mark, everything will be there. Yeah. Chylomicron will teach you in detail. I told you chylomicron is also a lipoprotein, as I told to you. It will be rich in triglycerides. Yes. Practical, yes, I think they have taken so many demonstrations. So they will be informing you about what practical you'll be getting in all these things. Yes. Yes, compound, complex, everything will be covered in, covered for exams. Whatever we taught you, just go on study in detail. Have your contact number. Okay, note it down. 99623. I can just type 99623. I'm just typing it there. You can just WhatsApp me and I'll reply back. Okay. Yeah, this is the number. You can just note us down. If you have any doubt, yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you then. Be safe. Take care. Bye. You can message me the number. I'm winding up the class, right? Okay, bye.